Hey there, cozy babe, and welcome to the most autumnal corner of the internet. My name is Chloe Taylor, and today we are going to be getting messages from your future self. Now, this pick a card idea actually is not mine. It came from the Gem Goddess. That was where I saw it done first, and the reading impacted me so much on her channel that I wanted to do my own. And I will link her video down below, so make sure that you watch hers as well if you appreciate this topic. But I also want to say before we get into it today that today's video is sponsored by Tarot Stack. If you don't know what Tarot Stack is, they have been a long-term supporter of this channel, and I love and appreciate them so much. I feel like they are a perfect fit for us. And they are an online tarot distributor. So every deck that you see in this reading today, the cards that are here today, that are already out, every other deck that we use, I will link each of them down below in the order that they appear, but all of those decks are from Tarot Stack. So if you've been looking for something new, something rare, something to add to your collection or somebody else's that you might know that is into tarot, definitely check them out. I believe that they have something for everyone, truly. Like even the decks I have today, this is such a small fraction of what is available there. And they have something for everyone. Like they have decks that I don't find anywhere else. Like I feel like there's a lot of like uncommon decks, and the quality is always really amazing. I have never had a deck fall apart on me. I read tarot literally every single day, whether it is for myself, for a client, or for this YouTube channel. So I have definitely used a lot of the decks, like a lot, and the card stock is always good. The imagery is really good, and I genuinely have nothing but good things to say. So if you are looking for any new tarot decks or oracle decks to add to your collection, be sure to check them out at tarotstack.com. They'll be linked at the top of my description, as well as all of the decks that you see here. Now, let's talk a little bit about this video. If you already know which pile you resonate with, if you already know how it works, if you don't want to hear any more about the topic, I will just let you know that this is for pile number 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Pile number 1 has the card of grow. Pile number 2 has the card of harvest. Pile number 3 has the card of cactus. And pile number 4 has harmony. So each of these obviously are going to correspond to your reading in some way, which we'll get into. But the situation today is I wanted this reading to act like a message from your future self, like your future self that has already made all of the decisions that you are going to be making. Like they already know how the situation pans out, and this is what they would reach back and have said to you. So have you ever sat and been like, wow, if I could write a letter to like my 15-year-old self, what would I say to her or them? And that's kind of the energy of this reading, is like, if you could look back to you right now from the future, what are some things that you would need to know, or messages that you would need to hear right now about your current situation or about where you are in life? Just anything along those lines is kind of where we're going. So that's what we are going to be channeling in today, is messages from your future self, your highest self, because that is the version of you that I am working with, is like your highest self that makes decisions that benefit you. And if you're unfamiliar with pick a cards, basically you are going to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4. Check the timestamps down below in my description or in my top pinned comment. You can take yourself directly to that reading based off of the timestamp. And if you're having trouble selecting, the most important thing to know, in my opinion, is that you will never choose wrong. There is something here for you if you felt called to click on this reading. You can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 piles. It doesn't matter. Like, it is whatever ultimately called you to this reading. Sometimes people know immediately when they look at the thumbnail which one they would choose. Some people need to kind of feel it out. I would encourage you, if you need a little bit more time to make a selection, go ahead and pause the video right here. And everyone else, we're going to go ahead and get into it, starting from pile number 1. All right, so pile number 1, we have for you the card grow, which says take inspired action. And we also have the card of winter, which says rest and recuperate. There we go. I was trying to get the light to catch it for you so you could really see it, because these cards have a really beautiful foiling detail on them. Okay, so knowing this, knowing this, what I'm really seeing is we kind of have this push and pull situation going on. So this might be what you're currently dealing with. And first of all, your future self wants to acknowledge that you feel like you're in a push and pull where you're like, gosh, I just can't get it together. Like, should I be resting? Should I be meditating? Should I be stopping myself? Should I be, truly putting myself to rest? Or should I be taking inspired action? Should I be getting up and going? Should I be doing that thing? And the thing is, this doesn't have to be that complicated. Your future self is here to remind you of that this doesn't have to be a complicated thing. And the more that you exercise it, the easier it becomes. So the more that you decide to stop and take a break and get into alignment with yourself, the easier that inspired action is going to pop up. So something that I would always encourage, if you feel like this is what you're dealing with and it's been hard for you, is stop trying to force things. Just like literally right now, if there is something in your day that you're like, gosh, like no matter what it is, if it's laundry, cooking, some kind of work task that you've been putting off, an email you've been putting off, a phone call you've been putting off, no matter what it is, just take a moment right now, stop, lay down, like whether it is couch, bed, floor, doesn't matter, lay down and just tell yourself, okay, I give myself permission to not force this. I give myself permission and really mean it. Like that's probably the hardest part of this exercise is to do it and not feel guilty about doing it. Because I mean, how many of us will stop and like doom scroll and then feel guilty about all that time that we wasted when we were supposed to be resting, right? So I would encourage you to do this without distraction and just let yourself decompress. Do it without guilt. And even if the guilt crops up, remind yourself that this is a decision that you're making for yourself so that you can help yourself. This is not rest. Actually, unfortunately, I hate to phrase it this way, but I know that for some people you need to hear it this way. Rest is productive. Rest is like, if you do not rest, you cannot do your most loving work. And giving yourself permission to just stop and say, you know what? Okay, I'm letting myself off the hook. I don't need to do this thing right now. This is not that important. My whole life is not going to collapse over this. I give myself permission to be off the hook. I give myself permission to stop doing that. I give myself permission to not do it. And the funny thing is more often than not every time. Sometimes you really need to rest and you just needed to honor your body and give yourself that. But more often than not, what's going to happen is you're going to rest for like, I don't know, let's say like 20 minutes. You're going to get inspired. I'm not even joking. The moment I tell myself I don't have to film, I'm like, I don't need to film. I let myself off the hook for filming. I don't need to make a podcast today. I don't need to make a pick a card today. I don't need to, whatever it is. I let myself off the hook. That is like literally the moment that I get so inspired to want to do all of it. So just try it out. And the thing that you feel the most inspired to do, the most important part, I think, is sitting without guilt and without distractions, because that's like a big flex in today's society. Many people cannot do that because there is so much distraction that we could take on. Just let yourself do the first thing that comes up that you feel inspired to do, whether that is make yourself something to eat, pick up a book to read, get maybe through that email that you needed to do, whatever is the first thing that you feel inspired to do, act on that immediately. And I promise you, if you exercise this, it gets easier. It gets easier to surrender and say, okay, I let myself off the hook, and see what pops up the quickest when you're not distracting yourself. So your future self is saying, like, you need to start practicing this, because it feels like a push and pull, because either you're resting with too much guilt or you're not taking the inspired action. Like, it feels heavy and difficult because you're not allowing yourself to fully surrender without the guilt. And I would also encourage, sometimes you have to show up guilty. Excuse me. Sometimes you have to show up guilty. Sometimes you have to let yourself be with that guilt. And so much of our emotional intelligence, I feel like we're starting to learn, many of us are starting to pick up on it, is that we have spent, I don't know, damn near a millennia trying to stuff emotions down and avoid them. And when you actually sit with them and let them open up, even if it's hard or feels difficult, that's when you actually can work through them. The only way out is through. So if that guilt shows up, let yourself feel guilty. Let yourself feel guilty and acknowledge the guilt instead of trying to push it away or stuff it down or distract yourself from feeling it. Because that's how you get out of it, is by feeling it. Okay, we also have the card of 9 for you, which 9 corresponds to the house of Sagittarius. 9 is the 9 is also a variable of 3, like 3 divides into it. And I feel like 3 is always such a powerful number. It's a number of abundance. It's the Holy Trinity. It's the maiden, the mother, and the crone. It is the past, present, future, right? It is the 3 is just such a holy and like powerful number that when I see a 9, I feel like it's always that 3 times 3, right? It's 3 to the third. So I feel like it's such a powerful number of like philosophy, knowledge. I really feel like your future self is saying like, you need to be getting into like, so much of your life might be in like distraction or comfort, which never a bad thing. Sometimes we need those little comforts, but you're being asked to put in a little bit more education into your life, whether it is actually enrolling in something, or it could just be picking up an educational book. Like, that is something that I feel like is very ninth house, very Sagittarius, is just wanting to learn, to know, to understand, to grow your mind. And it's something that I feel like, personally, I love the realm of self-help. I read too much self-help probably because I find it interesting. I love learning different people's ways of doing life. I love learning little tips and tricks and learning new things about my mind. And I have the ability to have discernment to know when a book is good for me and when I'm like, I don't really need to put all that into practice. I have the discernment to know when something is good or not for me. I feel like it's really easy to get lost in that sauce too. So proceed with discernment. But I feel like this could be about like getting a new book for yourself, something that you're uncertain about in your life. There is somebody that already has been through it or knows more than you do about it that has made content about it. And it's time for you to absorb that. Okay. And then we also have descendant. So descendant in astrology, this is the descendant in astrology is the point in the chart that is basically across from your ascendant. We have the ascendant and the descendant. The descendant is directly across, which represents other people. So I feel like what your future self is saying is that you might be somebody that says things like, and this is like direct, so I'm channeling this. So if this doesn't resonate, it might be for someone very specific. Like, you say things like animals are better than people. You say that you would rather live isolated, alone, get people away from you. Don't get me wrong. I think that like, if it's like crowds and stuff, of course, it is so normal to not want to be in a large crowd. That can be stressful, right? But if you want to just like shut yourself away from every single ounce of human contact, this is like totally missing the plot and the point of the human experience. And when I see the descendant coming from your future self, come like other people, this is basically letting yourself experience other people, letting yourself explore other people instead of just what you already know. I feel like your future self is really saying like, you need to step out of the comfort box. And I say that because I do feel like the ninth house can feel uncomfortable if you're not ready to expand, because the ninth house also deals with expansion, expansion of the mind and of consciousness, and expanding through other people, through learning from other people. And that's the other thing. And maybe you just need to hear it, pile number one. When people are of the mind that they hate people or don't want to be around people, something that needs to be said is that your greatest dreams will come through other people. And this is something that I feel like in my own life, I had to integrate. So I feel very strongly about it. your biggest dreams and goals and ambitions and aspirations will come by way of other people. And it doesn't mean that you can't do things like discipline yourself in your day-to-day life, but it's that if you want to buy a house, you're going to need to talk to another person. You're going to need to have somebody, a realtor, or somebody helping you run the numbers on that, or somebody handing you the keys and doing closing with you. If you want to become an actor, you're going to have to talk to a lot of agencies. You're going to have to talk to a lot of directors. You're going to do you see what I mean? Like, if you want to be an author, you're going to have to talk to an agent, most likely. You're going to have to talk to your audience, the people that read your book, that fall in love with your words. If you want to be a fitness coach, you are going to have to be someone that interacts with other people. If you're somebody that wants to work with animals, fact of the matter is, people, if you want to work with people's pets, you're going to have to talk to pet owners. If you want to teach other people, you're going to have to talk to your students and possibly other teachers. There's never going to be a reality where you are going to be fine as an island all by yourself. And it's better now for you to work on the people skills, the social skills, allowing yourself to connect with other people that have maybe a range of diverse opinions or a range of diverse ideas. It's better now to not isolate yourself. Your future self is saying that the isolation that maybe you've been living in, or maybe you have coveted in a way, because we've all felt that. You know what when you're at home and you're in your own cocoon, it's a vibe. If you have the privilege of having that kind of space for yourself where it is a calm environment, it is, we all know that feeling, right? If you have that, like I said, if you have that privilege, you know that feeling of oh, I just want to be in my own house, in my own sweats, with my own TV and my own air conditioning and my own bed, right? But we have to be willing to step outside of that, because that is how your dreams will come. Your dreams were never going to be something that didn't involve other people. And it's you can still be an introvert and need to recharge on your own. That's okay. It's all right if you need to go stretches of time on your own, but actually shutting everyone out in favor of staying in your comfort zone, your future self is saying that that's a recipe for not getting your desires met. Okay. Then we have for you the 9 of Pentacles. I'm trying to decide how I want to lay these out so you can see them. We have the 9 of Pentacles. We have the 7 of Wands. We have the King of Swords. We have the Hanged Man. And then we also have the Chariot. Okay. Wow, a lot of star players. So what your future self wants you to know is that if there's something you've been trying to grow, you will get that. You will get to a point where money will become easier. You will be more financially uplifted, and you need to start living like it now. Start living like the problems that have kept you held back are starting to diminish right now. How much joy would you feel in your life if today, whatever you were concerned about financially was slowly melting away? What if you got good news about that today? How would you live your life? Would you feel more joyful? Would you feel more peaceful? Would you feel more calm? You need to start pulling those feelings and experiences into your life in the present moment. And trust me when I tell you, I am not someone sitting here that has never struggled. It is really important for me that you know that I know what it's like to have to, and I'm currently living that reality where I have to stagger my bills because there's too much month at the end of my money. I know what it feels like to live that life. I know what it feels like to have my car out for repo. I know what it feels like to go through having to move house because rent was too expensive and having to do it really quickly. I know what it feels like to, I know what it feels like to financially struggle hard. And I have to tell you, the times that it has gotten better are the times that I am focused on my mindset and changing how I feel. I am able to call in better experiences every single time. And the Nine of Pentacles is not having a little money, it's a lot of money. It's being able to have more leisure time because things are taken care of. So, calling in that experience now, the Hanged Man says that your future self wants you to know that your perspective is going to be changed in some major way. You're going to have a change of perspective, and maybe this will come by way of other people. The Chariot also says that you are on your way. You are on the right path, and you just needed to hear that. The King of Swords also says that it is time to use your voice. No matter what that means, if you have wanted to use your voice in some way to have a confrontational discussion with someone, to start a podcast, to start singing, to start a YouTube channel, to start talking to more people around you, going to events and things around you. The King of Swords is somebody that uses their voice very eloquently, and it's time for you to start using your voice. And what did I say that this was? Sorry, there's a bit of a glare for me. I need to pick it up so I can, the Seven of Wands. Okay. And then there's also something about your future self is saying that you have been really afraid to speak up because you are afraid of like backlash. You are afraid of maybe negative comments. Maybe you're afraid of family or friends not liking what you're saying. You're afraid of some kind of persecution. And your future self is saying to you that like that might come, but you working through that in the moment and getting comfortable with it. I'm not saying that like if you're being, I think that there's a fine line between maybe if somebody is saying some stuff, it's good to check yourself. It's good to pull back and really like, witness, am I doing something wrong here? But it's also really good to stand up and say, no, this is what I think. This is what I believe. This is who I am. And the right people will celebrate you for that. I always look at people in like the podcast niche. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Leo Skeppy, but like he has like very few things that he has ever said that I've been like, ooh, that's a little out of pocket. I don't know about that. But for the most part, most of the things that he talks about are extremely sound. Like, and I also think we don't need to deduce people down to like singular experiences. That's something that I feel like have to work on. We all do. But I bring him up. If you haven't listened to him, his podcast is called Aggravated and Aware. It's so good. It's probably my favorite podcast. If you know who I'm talking about, leave me a cheetah emoji down below, or if this is resonating. But I bring him up because he does say things that people just persecute him for. He's been canceled so many times. And he's just like, no, I don't care. This is what I think. This is what I'm standing for. And like, if you don't like it, I don't care. And I feel like I kind of have to like tip my hat to and respect that, because so many people don't know what it's like to create for a living and have so many eyes on you giving you their opinion. But I feel like when I see somebody else out there doing it and standing on business and saying what they said and meaning it, I'm like, dang, I really got to respect that, because like even I sometimes can struggle with that, So I feel like you're being trained to basically be able to withstand that. And the more comfortable you can get with people disagreeing with you or not liking you, you didn't come here to be agreed with or liked all the time. If everybody liked everybody and everybody agreed with everybody, we would live in such a different world. And I would actually argue it might not be the best version of the world. Like, I think sometimes having disagreements, it sparks new conversations and new ideas, right? But you didn't come here to be a watered down version of yourself. So like, this is going to come with that territory, and it is okay for you to experience it. It might be harder in the beginning. I swear it gets easier as you go, but like, know that as you work through that, your future self is saying like, you can still stand up and like believe in yourself, basically. Like, that is the way through. That is the way to getting to your future self, to being who you want to be, is by believing in yourself and believing in your message and believing in the things that you say and standing up anyways, regardless of what comes your way. And that is the reading I have for you. Thank you so much, Tarot Stack, for sponsoring today's video. If you would like anything more from me, I have my podcast. I just put a new episode out of my podcast that I am extremely proud of. Like, this is the kind of content I want to deliver to you. If you love my readings, you will love my podcast. Um, it's the kind of content I want to deliver, the aesthetic, the way it sounds, the way it looks, the things I'm talking about, how it's formatted. Like, this to me at this present time of my life, I am giving high quality. Okay. So it would mean a lot to me if you checked it out. I will link the latest episode down below. You can watch it on YouTube, listen to it, and watch it on Spotify, and then listen to it anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. So I'll link for all of that down below. And I also have my Patreon if you want extra pick a cards, if you want astrology reports. I just put a Saturn video out over there. And of course, I have my website where you can be a part of Ask Chloe, which is a podcast segment where you can write in and ask questions. I also have courses available on my website. It's all on KhloeTaylor.com. So give that a look through if you are interested. And thank you so much for listening. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Bye. All right, pile number 2. If you chose the Harvest card, this is going to be your reading. So we have Harvest, celebrate your fruits. That's what it says. And then we also have uniqueness. You are absolutely unique. So these are at the heart of your reading, and your future self with these 2 cards is saying that something that you just need to be aware of right now is you need to celebrate what is around you right now. In order to have more of what you are wanting, you need to celebrate the wins that you're having. So I'm always going to use like YouTuber examples because that's what I have. But you could take this with anything. So like for myself, if I was going to celebrate my fruits, I would say, okay, every single new subscriber, like that is something worth celebrating. Every new podcast listen, that is something worth celebrating. Every new video that I put out, that is something worth celebrating. You know, it's the little wins that add up to the big picture. And with you are unique, your uniqueness, I feel like this is also about celebrating that you are unique, that you're not like everybody else. I feel like you have really been in this place of feeling like bad that you don't see yourself represented in anyone else around you. And the thing is, your uniqueness is meant to be celebrated. It's not that you're an oddball and that you don't fit in and that you're awkward. It's that you are unique, and your unique expression is your genius, literally. And I say that because you also have the Yod card in your reading. And I need you to know, this card is not small potatoes. The Yod card is a big deal. Yods in astrology or in like birth charts are a big deal because they're like, the best way to explain it, no matter what you believe in, like, you know, put in the word that you would use here, universe, higher power, you know, whatever. But to me, the best way to describe a Yod is a contract between you and God. Like, it is a contract between you and God, between you and source, that states this is a really important and powerful thing that through you and through like your contract there, you are going to bring this into the world. And I feel like you have a really big message. You have something really powerful and important to do. I don't get readings like these all the time. I would never just sit here and blow smoke up your, you know, when I see something like this to me means that you have something really important to do. You have a big message. There's something that in your lifetime you are meant to carry through, that like you chose this beforehand. You might even have a Yod in your birth chart. And then we also have the 3rd house for you, which is all about communication. So the 3rd house is the house of Gemini, which is all about communicating, using your voice. Gemini technically rules the hands, but because it is a mercurial sign that talks about communication, to me, it's very like fast-paced ideas, fast-paced speaking, using your voice to make an impact. When I see Yod here with it, like this is, you are meant to use your unique vocal expression to bring something into this world. And I know this as well because I saw this, but like I shuffled these beforehand, but I did preview them right before putting the pile down, which is funny because I usually don't do that. But you have the emperor. The emperor is someone that typically is their own boss, makes their own rules, does their own thing, allows themselves to have like freedom of expression of the self by doing their own thing. I would say it's often the entrepreneur's card. The emperor to me like gives big entrepreneurial energy in doing your own thing, being your own boss, commanding your own time, being very headstrong, and being somebody that is unique and like the first of your kind. So to me, having it with third house, yod, uniqueness, this is a huge indicator to me, pile number two, that you really are here to do some important stuff. You are here to do important work, and your future self is saying like that big message that you have, that idea that you have, even if you don't feel like it's going to make an impact and you don't like, sometimes we don't realize that. And I think this is something you need to hear. Sometimes you don't have the intention of, and in fact, I would argue that you probably don't. Some people do. Some people like know that they've got a message on their heart and it is supposed to be, and like this is confirmation for you. But some of you don't realize that the things that you're interested in, the little inklings that you have ideas about that you haven't executed on yet, that could be the thing. Like that could be the thing. I say that because there's such a wonderful example of this. So funny too, because I feel like we have similar stories and it's such like a, like, wish I had done it. Honestly, wish I had gone the distance because would have maybe been a very different scenario right now. But I always think about Mimi Bouchard, the creator of the Activations app. She also wrote the book Activate Your Future Self, which to me is chef's kiss, one of the best books that I've read this year. I've literally read it twice already this year, and it came out in April. But I think about her story in creating the Activations app and how she like used to record herself saying things about her life, about what she was reaching for, about her dreams, her goals. She would put them to like really powerful cinematic music, and then she would listen to her own audio tracks and get herself into like this state of mind of feeling very powerful and like empowered to work on her goals. And this was just something that for herself for years, she just did on her own for herself. And then randomly, she decided to release a couple of tracks to one of her like closed communities that like had members you could buy into. And through this, it like basically it went so well that she decided to make more of them. And then that led to her making the app. And now this app is so popular that number one, I use it, pay for it myself. Like such a great app. I'm not sponsored to talk about this. Wish I was, but this app is so popular. They don't even like work with influencers. They don't do any real like marketing for it. It just like all word of mouth. Like she is a multimillionaire with a multi-million-dollar business. Like she talks about some of her numbers sometimes in podcasts and I'm just like, dang, that's so crazy because I myself did something very similar when I was younger and never like did anything with it, never made it for anybody else, but like did my own tracks for myself like that. And I think about like, wow, like that's what I mean when I say like that she could have a yacht on her chart. That could be her yacht contract, is like doing something that you don't even realize could be popular, could be something that like turns into this amazing thing that humanity really needed. And that's what I mean is like, you don't even always know. It could just be something that you do for yourself that you've never shared before. It doesn't have to always be this, I have this message, I want to make this impact, da 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 da. Sometimes you just don't know. And you need to like work some of those ideas out and decide to be brave enough to put them out there. So, okay, that was a really long tangent, but like that was my main point is like, you don't always know. It's not always this like deep inner knowing. Sometimes it sneaks up on you. Okay, we also have for you the Page of Cups. We have the Knight of Swords. We have the King of Cups and the Ten of Swords. So your future self wants you to be aware that maybe you have a lot of ideas already. You're very like emotionally intelligent. You're someone that has done a lot of inner work, has done a lot of working through your emotions, working through emotional blockages. And I wouldn't even say that you're at, like, stop calling yourself a beginner is something your future self is saying, because you're not. Like, you're not a beginner. You are leaps and bounds ahead, and you don't even realize it because you haven't celebrated those small wins, right? We talked about celebrating small wins. Got to be celebrating more of those small wins. And with the King of Cups, this to me is about it having yourself in an emotionally regulated state so that you can capitalize on these big ideas. And that is like a point that I feel like with the Ten of Swords, this is like very emotionally dysregulating, right? It's literally a person with a bunch of swords stabbed into their back, being overworked, feeling overstressed. And Spirit is saying, Page of Cups, King of Cups, your future self is saying, in order to get to that state of calm and not feeling so overwhelmed, we have to be willing to imagine a future where we can be calm, because the the opposite of anxiety is not being calm. It's actually self-trust and acceptance. It's accepting what is so that we can move through what we're experiencing, so we can re-regulate ourselves. And I know that that might sound like that's insane. What do you mean I have to accept this? But if I could just be a story healer for a minute and tell y'all quickly, I don't want to make this like a whole segment right now, but in my life, I have dealt with, I honestly think I could confidently call it panic disorder. Like, I have not been professionally diagnosed, but I feel like I've dealt with it enough for it to be a disorder. like, and the only way I have been able to make it through panic attacks and reeling like that is to come to a place, and it took a lot of time, a lot of sitting with it, a lot of being uncomfortable. The only way I have made it through that is to accept that it was happening and stop trying to avoid it. Stop trying to avoid the feelings of panic. Stop trying to avoid the uncomfortable emotions that wanted to rise up and be released out of me. And the more that I sat with it, the more that I let myself be uncomfortable, the more that I let the feelings come up, the more and more and more, like, now, if I feel those feelings, I'm just like, hey, what up? I see you there. I see that you're trying to like burst out of me like this. I see that we're trying to have this really activated moment. How can we actually slow down and embrace that? How can I embrace you right now? And it's hard work. If you've never had a panic attack in your life, that probably, like, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you've struggled like that, like, there is a way out. There is a way through. There is a way to overcome and to like know that, like, you are your, like, just in general, whether you deal with that or not, you are your greatest healer. You are the key to your own healing. Even if we have all of these tools and therapists and XYZ, which are wonderful things, at the end of the day, you are your greatest healer. And like I said, the opposite of anxiety is not calm. It is acceptance. It is self-trust. It is the ability to accept what is and to trust that you will come through it. And so that we need to be envisioning and imagining a future where we are able to do that and start practicing it now. And the Knight of Swords coming through, I do feel like you might have a very fast-paced mind, somebody that thinks very quickly, and sometimes that, I think, freaks you out. And your future self is saying that, like, you're always one mind state change away. You are always one state away internally from relaxing, from allowing yourself to come to, like, not have the racing thoughts, basically. And please know, I'm not a therapist or a psychiatrist. Like, this is not, my readings are never, ever, ever supposed to be used in place of therapy. I just am somebody who's been through a lot and has had to go through a lot and has had to work on myself in that way a lot. So I feel like I have a lot to say. Like, we're just using right now my own experience with some of this stuff. But ultimately, Knight of Swords says that you have a way. There is a way for you to channel your ideas, your thoughts, your what you want to come into fruition. This big message that will come through you. There is a way to channel that out and do it in a way that you can stay emotionally regulated and on top of it. It doesn't have to be this overwhelming thing. And I feel that you also just need to know that you're the best host for it. Like the reason the ideas come to you is because you're the best person to execute them. And that is the reading I have for you, pal number 2. Thank you so much, Tarot Stack, for sponsoring today's video. If you would like anything more from me, I have my podcast. I just put a new episode out of my podcast that I am extremely proud of. Like, this is the kind of content I want to deliver to you. If you love my readings, you will love my podcast. It's the kind of content I want to deliver, the aesthetic, the way it sounds, the way it looks, the things I'm talking about, how it's formatted. Like, this to me at this present time of my life, I am giving high quality. Okay. So it would mean a lot to me if you checked it out. I will link the latest episode down below. You can watch it on YouTube, listen to it, and watch it on Spotify, and then listen to it anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. So I'll link for all of that down below. And I also have my Patreon if you want extra pick of cards, if you want astrology reports. I just put a Saturn video out over there. And of course, I have my website where you can be a part of Ask Chloe, which is a podcast segment where you can write in and ask questions. I also have courses available on my website. It's all on KhloeTaylor.com. So give that a look through if you are interested. And thank you so much for listening. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Bye. All right, pile number 3, you got the card Cactus as well as the card Thorns, which I think is really interesting because they're both like pokey. Cactus says adapt and thrive, where Thorns says notice your weakness and vulnerabilities. So 2 things that just came through that you need to hear is, number 1, to love a rose is to love the thorns. I don't know why Spirit needed you to hear that, but when I think of that, to love a rose is to also love the thorns, I think about specifically when men try to tame women. When I tell my husband that all the time, to love a rose is to love the thorns. You can't tame the wild woman. Like, to love the beauty of the rose, to want the essence of femininity around you, to love the rose, you have to be okay with there being thorns there. You have to be okay. Like, you cannot love a wild woman without having both, unfortunately. So, or fortunately, however you want to look at that. But I don't know why. That was just very specific. And then adapt and thrive, Cactus. Let's focus on Cactus for a second. I feel like adapt and thrive, cacti actually live right in like desert climates where maybe they're not getting a ton of water, but they're still green. They still bloom flowers as well. As somebody that grew up in the desert and was born and raised in the desert, lived most of my life to this point in the desert, but I don't anymore. That I feel like cacti have such like a special place in my heart. And when I see them come out in a reading, that's always what I think of. They're such a gentle reminder of like, you will make it through this season. You will make it through what you're going through. You will make it through this drought where maybe you're not receiving what you'd like to receive, and just adapt to where you are right now. You will soon be thriving. And notice your weakness and vulnerabilities. I feel like that's what's really being shown to you right now. Sometimes we go through chapters of our lives that are answers, and sometimes we have chapters that are questions. You might be in one of those like question chapters right now where you're needing to be shown more, or I would say that's more like answers almost, but I always consider like the questioning times as like being unsure and having uncertainty. And I feel like right now you're being kind of pushed through some kind of uncertainty. Your future self is saying that you will make it through. You will adapt and thrive through this if you allow it. But also, like, it's okay for you to not be perfect. It's okay for you to have vulnerabilities, to have weaknesses. Everybody does. Okay, we also have the card for you of Saturn. And whenever I see Saturn, I always feel like we need to have the discussion of like, what is Saturn doing in your chart right now? Because every 7 years you're dealing with it in a big way. And specifically, every like 27 to 32 years, depending on where you were born in that time frame, like of where Saturn was, it'll be somewhere in there. It's not the entire 27 to 32. It's like a 3 year chunk in there somewhere. You'll go through what is known as your Saturn return, where you integrate lessons from the first 30-ish years of your life. And it's usually kind of a hard time, but a time where a lot of blessings can be had as well. And it's just a time where, to me, it is the true graduation when you are no longer not an adult. Like, you cannot be mistaken for not an adult, unfortunately. Like, I know we all say that we're adults at 18. I think that's the biggest crock of crap I've ever heard. I'm sorry, if you're 18, you're not an adult in my mind. I think, to me, this is just a personal opinion, I suppose. The youngest somebody can be considered an adult to me is 26. And I think that is because that is when our prefrontal cortex finishes developing and we are able to critically think better. Because before that, we're not fully there yet. And that's not to say that you weren't parentified or that you didn't have to be an adult for whatever reason much younger. I would never tell you that. But I don't believe that we are actually full-fledged adults until we're at least 26. But around age 30 is like the true graduation point of that, because you experience a Saturn return, and it's the good and the bad. Like, it sometimes can be through a lot of hardship. Sometimes it also brings about a lot of blessings. Usually it's a little bit of a mix of both. And when I see Saturn come out in a reading like this from your future self, it's like, right now you need to be disciplined in putting in the work. And even if it's hard, even if you don't really want to, this is a season of discipline. Saturn is the planet of discipline and getting results from discipline. When I see Aquarius coming out, it could be, there we go. I was like, why won't you focus? It could be that you have Aquarius placements, and this is just, or Capricorn, because Saturn rules Capricorn. Actually, I think Saturn traditionally, not with like the newer planets and how we do things, but traditionally Saturn also ruled Aquarius. I still honestly kind of go with traditional rulership because I think it makes more sense. But when I see Aquarius coming through here, I really feel that your future self is saying, right now is a time to also be your most authentic self. Like, don't be disciplined over things that you don't care about. Basically, like, have discipline in areas for things that you really care about. And something I'm hearing, I don't know why Spirit is telling me this, but you just need to hear it. If you're feeling a lot of anxiety about discipline, let that be a teacher. Your triggers are your teachers. If you're someone that you like set out every day to have a specific kind of routine, and then you don't execute on it and you don't keep the promise to yourself, and then you're anxious about it, let that be a teacher to you. Maybe that anxiety is showing up because it's trying to push you to actually do the thing, to have the discipline. And notice when you actually do the thing that you said you wanted to do, if the anxiety is still there, because oftentimes that's all it takes, is like, you get that anxiety as a trigger because it's actually trying to help you do the thing that you said you would do. I'm not saying it's that way all the time, but sometimes it can be the case. So just notice that. Notice it, pay attention to it. See if you feel differently on a day that you give yourself more of that loving discipline. And I'm not saying like, oh, go do the 75 hard challenge, right? I'm saying like, loving discipline can be going to bed at a decent time. It can be waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth. It can be waking up at a decent time. It can be having a well-balanced breakfast. It can be working out. It can be, there's so many different ways to give yourself loving discipline. It doesn't have to be in such a rigorous, hard, difficult way. But the thing with discipline that Spirit is also saying, your future self is also saying, is that it's all about consistency. And if you didn't know, we do things a little different here on my channel. If you're new, I'm a story healer, which means that I share experience, vulnerability, a lot of times in my readings so that I can help get the message across better. And I believe that sharing your story, whether it's yours or mine or whoever's, when we share authentically and vulnerably, we give other people the same permission to do the same. And we actually sometimes we heal people through those stories, right? And so something I want to say about this when it comes to like discipline and consistency, just because it might motivate somebody else. Recently, I had an injury. I broke my ankle like 5 weeks ago. I have made a full recovery. I'm feeling super good. I'm back up and walking again more than I was before the injury. And I've actually implemented working out we're coming up on 2.5, we're coming on to like 3 weeks soon, where I've been working out consistently for like almost 3 weeks. And it's gotten to a point where it's like a pretty routine thing that I just do. And I bring this up because it is loving discipline. And there are days where I don't want to. There are days where I'm like, ugh, I don't feel like getting on my treadmill. I don't feel like taking a walk. I don't feel like going swimming or whatever it is that I'm doing to commit to my activity level that day. And I will tell myself just 10 minutes. If you just do 10 minutes and you hate it, you can stop. At 10 minutes, you can quit. You can fold up the treadmill, go take a shower and chill, but just do 10 minutes. And I have yet to experience doing 10 minutes and not ending up doing more. And that's what consistency looks like. That is what loving discipline and consistency look like. It is not, I'm going to show up every single day for an hour every single day. There are some days where you're not going to want to show up. But if you just tell yourself, hey, I'm going to show up anyway, even if it's not in the same exact way every single day, I'm still doing something. And I have to tell y'all, 2.5 weeks ago, if I tried to walk the track, I live by a track. If I tried to walk the track by my house, I couldn't make it 1/8 of a mile without stopping and having to catch my breath, just walking. Now, I did this walk yesterday. I looped that track 4 times without needing to stop. And that was what 2.5 weeks worth of work can do. Like, that's what I mean when I say loving discipline. Like, I am somebody that still is currently out of shape, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I feel like if I can just give you hope through that story that like you can do that too. Consistency isn't showing up exactly the same every day. It's just choosing to show up anyways, period, no matter what it looks like. And I feel like when I see Saturn, that's just such a powerful message that like discipline is important, but it's not about being strict and exact. Okay. We also have for you the Devil. I don't know why these cards do not want to focus today. There we go. We have the Devil. I don't know why, but I just heard the devil is in the details. Okay, we also have the Wheel of Fortune. Come on. We have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Three of Pentacles. We have the Three of Swords. And we have the Two of Cups. Okay. So what I'm really getting here from your future self is, number one, there is somebody coming into your life that's going to be an important person. Some of you, I'm going to be so for real with you, are going to go through a breakup with this person. Whether they could be somebody already in your life as well that just isn't good for you. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news there because some of y'all also just need that confirmation. Now, if you're in a really happy relationship right now, I am not here to tell you that you're breaking up. Like, please use your own discernment there. But if you already know that the wheels are kind of falling off, things are not looking so good, this is really about potentially that coming to a close. But once that happens, you are able to have more support around you to lean on. You will not be alone. your financial status will actually improve. And I do feel like something to note when I see the devil, it is often about like temptation, um, or like temptation, being held to past things. And your future self is really saying, like, possibly this person is somebody that you've been chained to. And it's just because you've been together so long. Like, the length of time, no matter what it is, if it's a romantic partnership, a friendship, a family member, time doesn't really mean anything. Like, I hate to say it that way, but I always tell y'all, my dad might be Willy Wonka. He does candy vending machines for a living, but Chloe Taylor, his daughter, does not sugarcoat nothing. I do not make candy at the candy factory. If you would like a sugar-coated reading, you should definitely go and find a different reader. But when I see the devil showing up here, I feel like this is almost feeling trapped and bound by a relationship or a situation. And your future self is telling you, if you have already had the inklings that you need to let go of this person, it's time to let go. Some of you, this will be a romantic partner. Some of you, this will be a really close friend or a business partner. That's what the Two of Cups usually is it's somebody that you once would have had a harmony with, but you no longer have harmony. And I also want to say it's all right if you don't have that anymore. Like, especially those of you in close relationships with family or friends, sometimes these things just, or a romantic relationship, sometimes these things just disintegrate. And people are not supposed to be with us for a lifetime, no matter how many years you've spent being connected. Sometimes people are just not supposed to be with us for a lifetime because the fact of the matter is, everybody changes. You know, if you think back on yourself even 10 years ago, aren't you a different person? And sometimes being friends or being in a relationship with someone, you change so much. And I feel like I'll speak for myself here. I definitely used to live under the guise that, like, you find your friends really early, you find your romantic partner really early, and like that's just it, right? And I think being raised Mormon, I'm not Mormon anymore, but being raised Mormon, they definitely sell you on that lie, especially with romance. Like, get married super, super young, like you can find your forever partner super young. And don't get me wrong, some people do that and they're super happy. I myself have been in a really happy relationship that I've been in for 17 years. Like, I feel very lucky and fortunate that at this time in my life, that's where I am. But I've also had numerous friendships in my life disintegrate over time. Some of them friendships that I've had for a long time. Like, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person or that you're a bad person. Sometimes you just don't mix anymore. And what you originally got together over or what you originally were pulled together about was the original glue. And now that the two of you are interested in different things, it's okay to let it go. Like, I think some of y'all just need that permission slip. It's okay. You're not a bad person for changing and evolving. And sometimes it is more like you've evolved and changed and they don't want to. And like, that's okay too. It is not your job to force somebody to evolve alongside you. It is your job to have your own best interests at heart, to take care of yourself. And the people that want to come along with you, that's wonderful. Bring them with you. But sometimes we have to let people go. And I feel like if you see this and you already feel that way about someone in your life, you already know the answer. I have definitely been in friendships that I knew 2 years before before I let them go that I needed to. Like, and that sucks. And when I look back on my life, like, take my story as an example. When I look back on my life, I wouldn't say that I regret it, but well, no, I guess I would say that I regret it. Like, I wish that I had let them go so much sooner because my life got immensely better once I let them go. My life got better. My surroundings got better. New friends came in that like took over that space and we have such a better connection. It made room for better things in my life. And it wasn't because that person in my life was a bad person or those people were bad people or I had ill intention or malicious thoughts about them. It was, we just weren't meant to be connected anymore. We didn't share the same values. We didn't share the same interests anymore. And I don't know why I'm on such a tangent about this. I think some of y'all are feeling very guilty and you just need to hear that, like, it really is okay. And it's such an honorable act to love yourself enough to let go. And you will still be supported. Your future self wants you to know that you're still going to have friends. You're still going to have love. You're still going to have support. And you're going to be so surprised how support shows up for you. And Wheel of Fortune, some of y'all, this might have been a karmic relationship. Like whether it was, and I know when you hear that phrase, it's usually used in romantic situations, but I feel like karmic relationships can come in the form of family, friends, or romantic. So this could have been a very karmic connection that you just needed to work through something. And now that that work has been done, the cycle has been complete and we got to let go. If you're holding on to someone and you're always feeling icky in their presence, that should be a huge indicator that you need to let go. I think sometimes though the hardest relationships are the ones where like you only feel icky sometimes and then like other times you still have fun and it's a good time and then you get kind of confused by it. But ultimately when you think about your best self, living your best life, do you see that person next to you? Because if you don't, that's also another key indicator. To me, all of these like 5 cards here are very connected to this situation. And I feel like this is one of those like big overarching like life lessons that unfortunately you just need to learn. And again, remember that this is for confirmation. I'm not saying if you're in a happy, healthy relationship that everything's about to go belly up. This is for people that you're already kind of feeling it and I have just confirmed it to you. I've confirmed all of your feelings. And if this is accurate for you, please leave me like a heart emoji down below because I want to know how many of y'all have felt this or experienced this. Don't let me hang in here. I just bore my heart about like, having to let go of connections that were just not for me and how difficult that can be. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that. And just know that you're going to be so much freer. Your future self wants you to know that you're going to be so much freer when you let go. And that is the reading I have for you. Thank you so much, Tarot Stack, for sponsoring today's video. If you would like anything more from me, I have my podcast. I just put a new episode out of my podcast that I am extremely proud of. Like, this is the kind of content I want to deliver to you. If you love my readings, you will love my podcast. It's the kind of content I want to deliver, the aesthetic, the way it sounds, the way it looks, the things I'm talking about, how it's formatted. Like this to me at this present time of my life, I am giving high quality. Okay. So it would mean a lot to me if you checked it out. I will link the latest episode down below. You can watch it on YouTube, listen to it and watch it on Spotify, and then listen to it anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. So I'll link for all of that down below. And I also have my Patreon if you want extra pick of cards, if you want astrology reports. I just put a Saturn video out over there. And of course, I have my website where you can be a part of Ask Chloe, which is a podcast segment where you can write in and ask questions. I also have courses available on my website. It's all on KhloeTaylor.com. So give that a look through if you are interested. And thank you so much for listening. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Bye. All right, pile number 4, you got the card of Harmony, which says, this is all perfect. And then you also got the card of Reincarnation, which says the forest floor. Okay, so we're going to talk about these 2 cards first. We have more. But these 2 cards, I actually want to read from the guidebook on one of these because I've never seen it. Maybe I have, but it's been too long. I also think it's interesting that I think this is a moth and not a butterfly, is actually depicted in this card as well at different little points. So they seem very linked, which is interesting. And this is card 10 and card 20. So very interesting. But okay, let me pull this up. So Reincarnation, I'm just pulling this straight out of the book that comes with the deck. Because like I said, I just don't know that I've seen this one. And I know what reincarnation is, but I just feel like whenever I feel called to pull out the book for a reading, there's something in the book that I would have missed if I didn't read it. So the forest floor will tell you that death is life. For what dies in the forest decomposes and becomes fuel for all living things. In a metaphorical sense, we go through many deaths in our lifetime on Earth. Deaths of identities and versions of ourselves. Have you ever seen an old photo of yourself and thought, I am not this person. Heartbreak is a death. Moving houses and countries is a death. Changing careers or life paths is a death of the future that could have been. Ooh. Oh, why does that make me cry? I'm sorry. I've just never thought of it like that before. And like, y'all, I have to like stop right there and just say it just there is nothing quite like going through an experience which if you've never been to my channel before, I'm a story healer as well as a psychic and tarot card reader. So I use my stories of authenticity and vulnerability to help guide you through readings. And I believe that everybody, when they share their story, actually helps to set humanity free because we share our vulnerabilities and authenticity and we give other people permission to do the same. So if you've never heard that before, hello. But that got me really in my feelings because there is no experience quite like going back to your hometown if you've ever left. Like, I've been through this a few times in my life now, like going back somewhere that I like could have lived a totally different life but chose differently. And like going back to your hometown, if you're somebody that doesn't live in your hometown but you go there to visit, especially if you spend long spans of time without visiting, it's like it's heartbreaking to go there and to realize like, wow, I could have lived my life here. I could have seen it this way. It could have happened this way. I probably would have been an alcoholic and a totally different person if I'd stayed in my hometown. I'm so grateful that I didn't. I actually attribute a lot of my like success and who I am because I moved out of my hometown. But and that's no shame on alcoholics. Like there are people in my family that very much struggle with addiction, and I have such empathy for that. Just saying, for my general experience, like I think it would have made me a worse person for myself. But like sometimes just like seeing my family and how they come together for like birthdays and dinners, and I'm just like, damn, like I really could have had this too, you know? Like, ooh, that got me in my feelings, y'all. Okay. So changing careers or paths is a death of the future that could have been. Even an exhale is a death. We inhale and exhale, dancing through life and death. What part of you needs to die this time? Let it die, and then rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Use your decay as a fertilizer for your sprouts. And then we have harmony. This is all perfect. So pile 4, there's a very specific message for you, and I'm getting the chills. And it's that if your life doesn't look how you want it to right now, it is coming to a close on purpose. And I know that this is a heavy message to hold, like even for me, that what isn't working out, it's not supposed to work out. It's not supposed to work out because there is something better for you. And this, like, it might feel like things are closing in on you or things are changing and it feels scary or unsettling or uncertain. And you're being reminded by your future self that everything is perfect. This is exactly how it was supposed to go down. And I know that that's a hard pill to swallow, and I know that it hurts. We also have for you the card 7. And we also have the masculine card for you. So what 7 is Libra's number. This is the 7th sign. 7 also could be a lucky number for you. It might just be a number of significance for you. 7 also corresponds to balance, law, justice, seeing both sides of things. And when I see the masculine here, I feel like for some of you, this could be, you don't feel like you're with healthy masculine. Like you could be somebody that is very much the feminine in a relationship. And I'm not saying that you identify as female, but you could just be more feminine because everybody has both. And you don't feel like you're in partnership with healthy masculine. I say that because 7 also is the number of partnerships, of marriage, of connection, anything that would be contractually binding, right? Marriage, business partnership. This could also be like car or home loans. And then when I see masculine here, I really get the sense that some of y'all have been let down by the masculine in your life. I feel like this last reading really is for the girlies. Um, Pile 4 really is for the girlies. There's something about being let down by your partner, and like you kind of need to hit the floor with them because things have not been working. Things have not been working, but what you can't see is the breakdown actually is the breakthrough. And I can see with the 5 of Cups. Come on. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to focus for us. There we go. I can see with the 5 of Cups that you have really been focused lately on things out of your control. Things out of your control. You've been less focused on what good things you have in your life. That's kind of the message of the 5 of Cups is like you focus on like this person has 3 cups that are tipped over, but 2 that are still like full of something. And he's only paying attention to what is empty, what he does not have. And I feel like with this, you've only been focused on what you don't have versus on what is there that is good. And this doesn't mean that like there isn't room for improvement, there isn't room for things to get better. I actually, looking ahead at some of your cards, which we will read, I don't think this is leading to a breakup. I don't think this is leading to like the end of a marriage. And I would tell you if I saw that. Pile number 3 really got an earful on that. Um, I don't think this is the end of partnership. I think right now it's actually a new beginning. It's where something you like what you are growing is going to become stronger from this point. And if you have been in partnership before and you've gone through something really hard, think about that right now and how you got through it. And did it make the relationship stronger? Because I feel like that's really what we're focusing on here. I get the sense that this could be a marriage. This reading is very specific. So if you're not married, like your future self is like, go pick another one. Um, I really feel like this is something contractual. It could be a business contract. It could be you and a business partner as well that are just not really meshing. Um, but this was going to happen no matter what, basically. This was going to happen because both of you are in a position where it's time to grow. It's time to change. It's time to evolve. And the two of you originally got into partnership because you were always going to help each other grow. And even though it's hard to see right now, it is actually perfect. Your future self is saying like, this is actually happening exactly as it is supposed to. Then we have the Queen of Swords. This tells me that, girlfriend, you need to stick to your guns. Okay. Stick to your words, stick to what you said. Um, This is also about creating healthy boundaries within the relationship, because just because you're married does not mean that we don't have healthy boundaries. Okay. This could also be a long-term relationship. Some of y'all, I feel like, we've got like common law marriage and stuff like that. But Queen of Swords tells me that this is about like you also becoming more self-empowered, because a lot of your power within the relationship, it's like you got so in this relationship and who you were inside the confinement of the relationship that you have forgotten who you are. You have forgotten your magic. You have forgotten your essence. You have forgotten what makes you so wonderful. And that wasn't the case before, but you've been in this so long that you've lost that sense of self-empowerment. And the Queen of Swords, your future self is saying like, you need to stand on that, stand on business, start to create boundaries, start to create this self-identity and this sense of self that knows herself. And I would actually encourage y'all, if any of y'all are unfamiliar, that this reading is resonating with you, check out attachment theory. Attachment theory, talking about like anxious attachment, avoidant attachment. I feel like some of y'all are definitely giving the energy of anxiously attached to your partner. And it's not like, I'm not here to diagnose. I'm not a professional. I'm not a mental health professional. Please do not take my readings as diagnoses or as mental health help. But if you've ever dealt, or if any of this is resonating, I would encourage you to look at attachment theory and just learn more about what it looks like to become securely attached. We also have the 4 of Wands, which again tells me that I think that you're going to come out victorious within this relationship. Things are going to improve. It's almost like you've built your house with this person on sand. And now, from this new place, even though you can't see it yet, you will rebuild your home on a rock. Okay. Did you ever hear that song? I guess if you aren't religious, probably not. I myself am not religious, but I used to be. The wise man built his house upon a rock. Please tell me that somebody knows what I'm talking about. I don't make me feel crazy. Okay. Somebody like leave it in the comments that you know what I'm talking about. Um, I feel like this is about y'all building your future on a solid foundation, but the foundation had to crack so you could build a new one, basically. And then we also have the card of strength. This, I think, has more to do with you in the sense that this is about learning your own inner self, your inner emotions, your inner fears, your inner strength, and being able to sit with yourself and know yourself from a new vantage point that you currently do not possess. This has come, like, you had to come to the forest floor to basically help yourself through this relationship, through what is happening within it. It is forcing you to become a new version of yourself. And some of you might be able to already see it a little bit. We also have the card of the Hierophant for you. Your future self is saying that you do need probably some outside support, whether this is actually talking to a mental health professional for yourself or for your partnership, or talking to like a coach, getting into a book about somebody who knows something about what you're going through. I always recommend that. If you're someone that's like, I can't afford therapy, which is so unfortunate. And girl, I know how you feel. Okay. I know what it's like to live that life and it sucks. I think it's despicable that mental health help isn't free and given to everybody. But if you're not in a position to get that right now, I always see the value in YouTube videos, books, podcasts, anybody that has been through something you've been through. I guarantee you there is somebody who has already been through it. They've already come out the other side and they're already alchemizing and talking about it. And the Hierophant is finding that mentor-like person. So finding somebody that's already been through what you've been through and allowing their content, the things that they've made, that they've put out there to help guide you. Also potentially hiring a professional if you feel like you have the space and the resources for that. But ultimately, the reading that you really needed from your future self right now is that the healthy masculine is going to come through this relationship. Like, it's the person you're in partnership is also going to transform as you transform. And it's not about you micromanaging him. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about you working so intentionally on yourself that your passion for you, because you are doing it for you, actually inspires them to show up differently. And I will always say this. I actually put out a podcast on my other channel, the Cozy Babes Club. It's also available on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you listen to podcasts. I put out an episode that's called "You Are Not a Rehabilitation Center for Broke Men" or for broken men. And it's my episode for the girlies. Okay. I talk about some stuff that I feel like this episode or this reading, you would benefit from listening to that episode. So I will do my best to try to remember to link it down below. But if I don't, just go to my podcast channel. Like, it's already there. It was put out like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's a great episode. Like, I really stood on business with that one, but, that's really what I'm getting is like you getting into yourself for yourself and changing for you, not because you hope that he's going to change, not because you hope and pray and wish that he's going to become a different person, but because you know that you cannot continue doing life the way that you've been doing it. You're tired, you want change, so you're willing to dig in and get it done. It's going to inspire them to show up differently. It is not your job to be a rehabilitation center for a broken man. It is your job to be invested in your own best interest. And watch how, like, don't do it for that reason though. I think that's the most important part is don't get interested in yourself to try to like manipulate the situation and make him do things. Get interested in yourself, invested in yourself. Your future self is saying, because it's good for you to do it anyway. You want to be somebody that is empowered and emotionally resilient, and the good things will follow that. And everything is exactly how it is supposed to be right now. As much as that might be hard to hear, you're going to look back on this time your future self is saying and go, wow, I'm so happy we went through that because my life was changed for the better. And like some of y'all, it is going to be your relationship also changes for the better. You don't continue to do things how you've been doing it, and it's a good thing. And that is the reading I have for you, pal number 4. Thank you so much, Tarot Stack, for sponsoring today's video. If you would like anything more from me, I have my podcast. I just put a new episode out of my podcast that I am extremely proud of. Like, this is the kind of content I want to deliver to you. If you love my readings, you will love my podcast. Um, it's the kind of content I want to deliver, the aesthetic, the way it sounds, the way it looks, the things I'm talking about, how it's formatted. Like, this to me at this present time of my life, I am giving high quality. Okay. So it would mean a lot to me if you checked it out. I will link the latest episode down below. You can watch it on YouTube, listen to it, and watch it on Spotify, and then listen to it anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. So I'll link for all of that down below. And I also have my Patreon if you want extra pick a cards, if you want astrology reports. I just put a Saturn video out over there. And of course, I have my website where you can be a part of Ask Chloe, which is a podcast segment where you can write in and ask questions. I also have courses available on my website. It's all on KhloeTaylor.com. So give that a look through if you are interested. And thank you so much for listening. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same.